You can keep your eggs Benedict. My first dreamy mouthful of these Turkish eggs, and I was utterly sold. The thing is, I think you have to taste it to understand it. That's to say, a poached egg on garlicky yoghurt with a chili butter sauce on top. But it is not only a revelation, but a complete sensation. That's Greek yoghurt there. I need a clove of garlic that's minced in. And sea salt flakes. I cannot eat eggs without a lot of salt. Although traditionally the yoghurt's cold, I like this to be just above room temperature. I suppose you could say Turkish room temperature. So I've got a pan here of water that's come to the boil and is now just hot. The gentle heat underneath the bowl makes the yoghurt less thick than when it's fridge cold, which is what I want. So that's the garlicky yoghurt, and it can just sit here. And now for the butter sauce. So I need butter. Don't be tempted to have the flame high. Just be patient, it'll happen. If it gets too hot, it'll just spit at you. And this is it, beautiful and hazelnutty. So to this, heat off, I add some extra virgin olive oil. And now my beautiful red pepper flakes, the Aleppo pepper. And as I stir, these foam up fierily. And this will stand very happily while I poach the egg. The water's almost come to the boil, so I'll get my eggs. I always keep eggs out, except when I'm poaching them. I've had a pathological fear of egg poaching for so long that I have devised certain steps that have made me now preternaturally calm when I poach an egg, eager to poach an egg. So, rule 1, fridge cold, it just keeps its shape better. Rule 2, crack the egg into a tea strainer and let the watery bit of white drip off underneath. It's this watery bit of white that, when you poach it, would turn into stringy fluff. I sometimes miss this stage out. I mean, if it's just a poached egg on toast for me in the morning, but Turkish eggs deserve the very best. And now, rule 3, gently transfer the egg to a cup or a ramekin, and instead of adding vinegar to the poaching water, I add, I suppose, about a teaspoon of lemon juice just directly onto the egg white. It makes the white sort of go and hold its shape better. And now, let's see. I'm going to slip the egg in very gently. Make sure your cup is as near to the surface of the water as possible, and then turn the heat down. I don't want to see any movement in the water. I cannot eat Turkish eggs without a hunk of toast to dip in, so toast on. And I want some dill sprinkled over. So peaceful when the water's that low. So while the egg's poaching, I'm going to add the yoghurt. Just a few splodges. Don't need too much. And now, gently lift the egg out, drip off a teeny bit of excess water, and there we are, on top of the yoghurt. Perfect. And the sauce, I'm going to pour that both over the egg, but some around the edges of the yoghurt, like a chili butter moat. The dill, my toast. Perfect timing. Oh, and this is just the best breakfast in the world. any morning that starts off with my tomato and fried bread hash is a good one as far as I'm concerned. I've got a couple of slices cut from a bloomer here, which I am now just cutting into chunky cubes. I've got some olive oil in here. I mean, just regular olive oil, not extra virgin. I'm going to turn the bread in the pan a bit because what I want is for the cubes to become golden all over. Oh, and they will be so wonderful and resoundingly crunchy when they're done. How long the cubes of bread take to get golden will depend really on how fresh or stale the bread is. Either way, it's fine. I'll let them fall on a bit of kitchen towel. I'm going to leave the pan off the heat while I chop a banana shallot, my secret weapon, in the kitchen. Aiming for fine half moons, but knife skills I don't possess, so some will be fine, some a bit chunky. In they go. I'm going to sprinkle some salt over the shallots. I do this whenever I fry onions or shallots, when I don't want them to burn at all, because the salt makes the onions give out a little bit of water. I want them soft and golden, even a bit caramelised in places, but not burnt. Oh. And while those cook, I'm going to chop up a few tomatoes. When I was at university, fried bread with tinned tomatoes was the Friday special in the college canteen. And while I love a fried slice, won't hear a word against it, I've always been a bit troubled by the pairing with tinned tomatoes. So I go for fresh ones instead. And I completely forgot the garlic. How could I? Because I want the oomph from some minced garlic. So the shallots are soft and golden in places. Time for the tomatoes. They spit a bit because of the liquid, but that's fine. So, pepper, good grinding. Worcester sauce, a must. And I'm going to snip in some chives using my sewing scissors. Everything looks ready there. More than ready. And tumble these bronze and crisp cubes in. Just tossing it together so that everything is combined. And, oh, I can hear how good this is going to be. So now, ready to plate up. With slightly frenzied haste. Utterly understandable under the circs. Want every bit. And a final sprinkling of chives. I mean, this is really excellent when you need to absorb excess alcohol. Obviously not the case now, which makes me realise why they had it in the college canteen. My egg tortilla pie is so much simpler than it sounds. Instead of pastry, I use soft flour tortilla wraps. So I just want to oil the dish first to make sure the bottom layer doesn't stick. Help it crisp up. And there we are. Here is the bottom layer, just eased into the bowl. And I've got some ham to throw in. But really, this is not a recipe. I mean, it's just something I make when I'm too tired to cook, but I want to eat well. So use whatever you have lying about the place. But the one thing I always add are the eggs, just 2 cracked on top of the ham. I'm adding cheese to this, so I don't want too much salt, but I cannot eat eggs unless there's salt on the yolks. And now the cheese, again, any hard cheese you've got. But I've got some palate-burningly strong cheddar here. Just letting it fall on top here. It has a kind of crystalline crumbliness. And now, top layer. This makes me feel very, very artistic. Just brushing on to make it nice and crisp when it goes in the oven. So the roof goes on. Squeeze it in a bit. Not pressing on the eggs and cheese, but just into the sides and down to help seal it, like you're crimping a pie. I've got some oil left, so I'm going to give a bit of extra here. It'll go really crunchy. Now, it thinks it's a pie. It also thinks a bit that it might be a pizza, so more cheddar on top. And because of the crumbly texture of this particular cheddar, I will get some lumps falling off as well as these ribbon flakes, but that's just fine by me. Bit more artistry coming up, the all-important hot sauce. Jackson Pollock it in. Well, that wasn't exactly work, and now all it needs is about 15 minutes in a hot oven. Crisp crust, soft-yolked eggs, salty ham, and melted cheese. It's got my name on it. I make French toast so often. I make cinnamon French toast, I make orange French toast, I make French toast with plums, but up till recently, all my variations on a theme have been sweet, and I really felt the need for a savoury version. And my Parmesan French toast is so comforting when I get back late at night, having unaccountably missed my dinner, but it really makes the perfect weekend breakfast. I need just a handful of ingredients for this, and this being Parmesan French toast, that's the next ingredient. Very finely grated so that the bread can absorb it. I want a bit of heat. Paprika gives me sweet heat. Sometimes I need a bit more fire, and then I go for the cayenne. And this brings its glorious colour as well. And I want tang first from some Worcester sauce, and then from some Dijon. And the mustard gives a much more intense savouriness. And I need this to be a bit runnier so that it's easier for the bread to absorb. That means a little bit of milk. I'm going to whisk it together. I like to use sourdough bread for this, or anything that's got a bit of bite to it. But if you're using normal bread, then I'd advise you to let it stale just a little. And then these slices need to bathe in this sunny mixture just until they're soaked through and soft, but not falling to pieces. These are ready to be turned now, and they can drink up the rest of the eggy mixture in the dish. Just want to spoon over the last little bit of this glorious golden mixture. Am I ready to get frying? I want butter. I certainly want butter, but I want a bit of oil as well, just to stop it burning. That's bubbling away cheerfully, so I will lower in the Parmesan soaked bread. I favour a pair of implements when cooking. Let's see if it's ready to turn. Yes, it is. And while they cook on this side, I'm going to get my plate. Not that I'm impatient or anything. As you can see, this is also gratifyingly simple to make. And I could happily eat it any time of the day. To make my waffle batter, I start off with 3 eggs. Whites here, and yolks in here. To the yolks, I'm going to add 450 ml of full-fat milk. A splosh of vanilla. And 125 ml of vegetable oil. So much easier than using butter, because, you know, when you use butter, you have to melt it and then let it cool down a bit. And this is just faster, and it makes the waffles so crisp. And that's what I want from a waffle. Really crisp on the outside and light and fluffy on the inside. Just a regular whisk here. Teeny little mix together so it's combined. Now I can move on to the dry ingredients. I start with 225 grams of plain flour, followed by 3 tablespoons, that's 45 grams, of caster sugar. Then a pinch of salt and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Then I just fork everything together. And now it's just a case of pouring the wet ingredients into the dry. This flat whisk could make sure there aren't lumps. Don't want to beat too fast or to splash myself. And anyway, going slowly, it's rather peaceful in the morning. But now I'm going to rupture the calm by whisking the egg whites. I want them to get to firm peaks. It's not that noisy. I said it's not that noisy. Time for some gentle folding. So these fluffy clouds will get absorbed into the primrose batter. Looks like a sea of marshmallow. Just the last bit of white. So same again, just making sure, if at all humanly possible, that there aren't any streaks of white left in the batter at the end. Perfect. This is just what I want from a waffle batter. Thick, smooth and airy, and it's those bubbles that make these waffles so celestially light. Right, I'm going to move along the bus and heat my waffle irons. Just a couple of minutes. I know there's a lot of batter, but I've always found there are a lot of takers for these. And actually what I like to do as well is make all the waffles up and then freeze them and reheat them in the oven from frozen whenever I feel the need. And I can tell you there is often a need. An American cup measure is my tool of choice here, and one to be dribbled over this iron. And then speedily, I'm gonna see if I can manage this. More dexterous than I thought. That just needs a minute. I'm going to go and get my plate. OK, ready to turn. And I actually almost forgot my blueberries. That would not be a good thing. And now for the moment of truth. Beautiful. All in its golden glory. I'm going to ease this out first. Over here, my beauties. Tumble in a few blueberries. And so important, because it's got those pockets waiting for it, the syrup. A quiet morning in the garden with waffles. What better way to start the weekend?